Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the brand new JR the Handler Show. Not sure exactly what we're going to do on this show yet, but I can tell you this. It's going to have a lot to do with country music and music in general, because anybody that knows me knows I love all types of music, all genres, all ages, eras, as you would say. And I'm not stopping any of my other podcasts or anything else I'm involved with. I'm just adding this to the list. Been wanting to do this for several years now, just something to dive in more on all things country music and music in general. You see the posts, you see the videos, the stories, the takes on things from everyone. I figured I might as well give mine. I've been doing this 23 years. I've been in country music. I've told that story on several podcasts over the years, but I'll get into all that again, and we'll dive deeper into some of that stuff. I'm going to have a bunch of my buddies pop on, may have some pop on today. I'm just kind of test running this. Haven't used a lot of this equipment that I'm using for this podcast now since the Justin Moore podcast. It's kind of been on standby, and we've just been too busy with Justin's commitments and our road schedule to get that done. So I thought I would just check in, and maybe I can get him to jump on sometime, and we can do a little chopping it up like the old days. But I thought, why not just run it down, see what we got, talk about some stuff. Maybe I'll call a few buddies today on the Zoom machine. I did check on that earlier, and actually I still have the app on my computer, even though I haven't used it in a while. So hopefully we can fire that up and it still works. JRThehandler.com, still the home base for everything. I know it needs updating. I know I've been neglecting the site. I try to jump in there, as often as possible to update things, but it's been busy. But really been wanting to do this, so I think that's the new plan. We'll try to drop one of these ever so often, hopefully every week, do some current events, talk to some people and get their takes on things, have some guests. We had a lot of great guests on the Justin Moore podcast, and some of those people now, it's been several years. I'd love to catch back up with them and some new people as well. I actually got a few texts out right now. I'm hoping to hear something back. I'm hoping actually for my first guest to be none other than Nevada's own, Yerington, Nevada's own, Cody Villalobos, Viva Villalobos, from L3 Entertainment, one of Justin's managers, one of our friends. He's got a great story, but not even so much to tell his story this time, because if anybody remembers from the past, we called Cody on all things technical. So I want to make sure I'm actually even doing this right so we can get this out. Because I've said that before. I was talking to a friend of mine, Mike Diamond, who we'll have on the show, Pensacola, Florida, singer-songwriter, just all-around music and wrestling aficionado. I mean, this guy's done years on the road with Merle Haggard and Skinner and Hank Jr. and everybody else, lots of shows and all kinds of backstage and cool stuff along with his music stuff. So I want to bring him. When I was talking to him earlier, and I was telling him, I was like, a lot of times I only get one take at this. If I have to retell a story or something, I mean, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but a lot of times you just got to get it. And that's why I always, it's like the old story, the Ed McMahon told the guest, let's don't leave it in here. Let's save it for the couch. Let's don't talk all the stuff before we get on air. So a lot of times I just got to record when it's topical, top of my mind, and get some of this stuff out, because if not, I tell it to myself a few times. I tell a few friends throughout the day. By the time it's time to tell it and record it, it could or could not be as good. So I thought, if I can get all this stuff working and not, and I love Tig's Bits podcast. I want to mention that too. I'm still doing Tig's Bits on the reg. Love Tig's Bits. Not changing anything over there. This is just going to add to what we're doing over there. But with two other people, and even with the Justin Moore podcast with one other person, it's hard to do scheduling when you have a weird schedule anyway. Everybody knows I'm a tour manager in country music. I don't have a typical 9 to 5. We book shows. We have to go do shows. We have other commitments, have to go do those. I just have to make it work. So there's no set schedule. So being able to come in and just record and not have to make sure my schedule aligns with someone else's. I think it's going to be beneficial for me getting the content out about the things I want to get out in a more timely manner, and hopefully better. Hopefully some of it's funny, hopefully some of it's informative. There's a lot of stories I've told over the years that have been retold by other people, and thank you to everyone who retells those stories, because that's what they're all about. I don't own any of these stories. They're just things I've heard. Most of them I was there. If I wasn't there, I know somebody, the person who told me was there. Most of these have a first or at worst secondhand account of these things. So, I was actually there in my take. A lot of times people tell the stories, but they were, from a fan perspective, what they think, and obviously there's indies and all kinds of things like that. And just, I'm going to keep it classy here. I'm not going to tell any hoo-ha, but I'm going to tell it how I heard it, and obviously in a world now where you can Google things to find these facts is very helpful. But 99.9% of my stories I heard prior to being able to Google things. So this is just the way I heard it. Now, if it's 100% true, I don't know. It's the way I heard it. I know people fact check these things. I saw my good buddy Aaron Ryan, who we'll have on at some point from Whiskey Riff, told the story about the George Foreman grill and the Hulk Hogan Thunder Mixer a week or so ago when unfortunately we lost the legend George Foreman. And he said he heard it on the JMP from me, and that's just something I had heard somewhere. I can't remember exactly who I even heard that story from. Maybe DDP, maybe somebody else, just a wrestling fan. Maybe Luke Laird, a huge songwriter, also a huge wrestling fan, who's actually hung out with Hogan a few times. So I don't know where I heard that story, but I got the Thunder Mixer from Art Schweitzer, who was our old production manager, and who's been production manager for many artists, and Greta Van Fleet to Lainey Wilson to working for Live Nation, all that stuff. I actually need to get Art on here. That would be fun. Talking about a good time. Me and Art Schweitzer, our old production manager back in the day. I cancel my flight. We stay in Detroit, where he's from. He and I think the two guitar players end up at his mom's house, and we're all supposed to fly home the next day. I decided to stay. I'm going to stay with Art, visit with Art, meet, see where Art grew up. We have to work out on the road together every day. Might as well know what's up. And so we stay. I stayed a few days, stayed at his mom's house, and Jack White's playing in town with a brand new band and all this, playing at the Masonic Temple, 100-something-year-old, huge, massive building in Detroit that was been on hard times, and Jack was raising money to bring it back and was having this one, a couple nights stand there. And so I hit up our good friend booking agent, Lane Wilson, and said, man, anybody over in their world? I'd love to surprise Art and tell him we're going to see Jack White show in his hometown tonight, because he lives downriver in Trenton, Michigan, as they say. So anyway, I told Art, it's a long shot. We'll see. It's been sold out for weeks, since the tickets dropped. We'll see. And then 3:30, 4 o'clock that afternoon, we're laying around almost like teenagers, laying around his mom's couch watching TV or whatever, drinking Kool-Aid. And I was like, yeah, I hadn't heard nothing yet, man. I don't know. It probably won't happen. But I said, a lot of times it's last minute. They have to see where comps are and where tickets are at and stuff. And then sure enough, and I think the show's, supposed to, doors are at 6 something, 7, shows at 8, something like that. Well, about 5:15, I finally get the text, you're good, 2 tickets at will call. So here we go. I said, I got the ticket. I looked up at Art, smiled, said, let's get dressed. We're going. So here we go, downtown Detroit. I'm a hick from the sticks. That was a cool experience. And Jack White played a stupid good concert in this cool old building. I mean, just rock and roll. And our seats were great, but it was close. It was loud. Art's a tech nerd, so he wanted to go look at the board and all that. So next thing you know, we're at front of house. He's checking out the board. I'm watching the show. Big tall boy beers. I mean, just good times. But anyway, I don't know, got sidetracked. And I do that a lot too. But that's me and Art in Detroit at the Jack White show. That was an awesome experience. But we'll have him on the show at some point. But So anyway, that's Art. We had a great time, so I want to get him on for sure. But that's where I got the Hulk Hogan Thunder Mixer, and so I don't know where I exactly got that story, but it's been reused and retold, and they verified the story for me. Aaron went on and people at Whiskey Riff, which is a great social media platform podcast. I love the people over there. They cover a lot of great things for country music and stuff. So I want to give them a shout out for sure. But they found where Hogan had said it on a couple different interviews about some different variations of the story. So that was very cool. So that'll get done a lot, I'm sure, as I tell these stories. The Art story, I don't know how you could verify that, but I can tell you that happened. Pretty good funny stories there if we ever have Roger Coleman or anybody from the band that was around during that time. But so that's how I heard the stories. I don't know 100, all of them aren't bulletproof, but it'll be fun to talk about them either way, I think. And there's a million of them out there, and we'll try to get somebody who's got an inside angle on it or things like that, and go that route. But anyway, so don't really have a format for the show as of now. Like I said, I'm going to call some people on the Zoom machine and chop it up a little bit. I'm just going to run through Instagram and Twitter, see what some stories are going on, and chit chat about those. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun to bounce back and forth with some of my buddies and stuff too. Just to have somebody to bounce stuff back and forth with. I think it'll be fun. And, that's the thing, too. If I can figure out how to work this machine, I'll randomly just call someone and get them to tell us a story or something. Because like I said, when it's fresh on your mind and you're telling it, it's better than having to think about it. And if you'll ever watch a lot of interviews, and I know this is, it's not a knock on anyone. It's just the way it works. If you go, because I've listened to a lot and seen a lot over the years, interviews and, doing research for different guests we used to have on Justin Moore podcast, I would go back and listen to their interviews to see what people ask them and what to avoid, and see if there was anything like that on some of them. But most big celebrities for sure only have a handful of stories. They just find a way to tell you that story again. It's kind of like at the end of a basketball game, they can ask some integral question, and they're going to give one of 5 generic answers on why the team was successful. You know what I mean? It's never going to be a real something. Well, so-and-so was late to practice yesterday and I was sick earlier and, Bobby couldn't find his tennis shoes. No, it's always like they could ask, what was it about this play in the third quarter? Well, we just knew this week at practice, if we played as a team and played as one, we would have a chance for success, and that's what we did tonight. That's not that question. That was not an answer to the question that was asked, but it in a long, vague way maybe. But anyway, same thing with stories. Rarely do you get in depth, but a lot of times people get asked the same stories over and over. So you got to just give that. You tell that story over and over so many times, it can you either get a simplified or a less passionate version of the story or something. You could. Now some are great at doing it, but anyway, I say all that to say a lot of these stories will get told again, but we'll try to get a bunch of new ones. That's the goal, is to bring some new stories to light and some verification on some stuff from some stories, and some of these stories. And that's the thing. We're not going to go on here in the first couple of podcasts and have all these, just nuggets of classified information or anything like that. Not that I have a bunch or anything, but you could, as far as your imagination could run, there's probably a story there somewhere. But we're going to ease into it. We got, we're going to give them as they go, hopefully there'll be a book one day, save some for that. But like I've told people before, because even doing other podcasts, somebody will say, well, tell this story. I'm like, and they're like, I'm like, yeah, it gets a pop from the boys, but it's not necessarily something I want everybody to hear on a certain format for this or that. Whether it be self-deprecating or usually it involves other people that I don't know if they want that story told. And I'm not just going to tell anybody's story unless I know it's bulletproof to tell it, or I'll let them tell it. That's why I want to bring people on here to tell it. But even more so than that, what I usually tell people is it's coming. Skinnerd don't play Freebird first. Think about it. You go to your favorite concert, they're not playing their biggest song the first song typically. You know what I mean? You got to wait for it. There's got to be a build. It's got to be right timing. It's like building a set list. That's kind of how this is going to be. You know, it's got to flow. It's got to be like an album or a set list. You know, you're not just going to come super heavy on the front and get lull in the middle. And, you know, it's like a jam band concert. You ride the wave. High, low, bring them down, bring them up, ease them down, you know. So that's kind of that. So a lot of those good stories will come as time goes, but not going to tell them all right here on Jump Street. But there's some good ones out there, I can tell you that. And they're being made every day. They're making them every day. And that's the cool thing, too. A lot of friends and, you know, artists and entertainers and athletes and people that we know, you know, are really doing a lot of things these days. You know, I was thinking about doing that and go down the ACM. I got my ACM voting registration, final round voting. I am gonna let's see who all's nominated. Who are the nominees for the final round of ACM voting? Just got my email. Let me see what I got to do here. Voting site is email. Criteria for awards. All right. Sorry, this is going to be slow, but hopefully the power of AI technology will be able to clip this up and take away any of the flub. I'm going to go to all right, here we go. Here are the nominees, final round voting for the ACM Awards this year. ACM Awards, the oldest of the award shows. I've actually been to a few of these over the years. Man, shout out to John Murphy, Stylist to the Stars in Nashville. He got me dressed up one time when me and Party went to the ACMs out in Vegas, and that was the best outfit I've ever had. I know that's weird something to say, but it's the only time I've ever had anybody tailor clothes just for me. And, man, they fit great. They felt good. They were awesome. I got a new pair of boots, a new cool pearl snap. I was rocking. No cowboy hat. This was a younger, cleanish cut JR with the chops. But shout out John Murphy, legend stylist in Nashville. I hadn't seen him in a while. Good dude. Did see Jody Messina a few months ago, and I know he's her stylist as well. And she and I chopped it up for a minute. She's something else. So shout out John Murphy, great stylist. ACM Awards, been there, very cool event. A couple years after that, I was there with Justin, and Justin won ACM New Artist of the Year in 2014, I believe. They went a few times after that. It hadn't been in a while, honestly. Maybe go back sometime. All right, here we go. I'm going to go to the bottom of the voting email here, and let's see. Music Event of the Year. Let's view who are the Music Event of the Year final round nominees. Cowboys Cry 2 by Kelsey Ballerini and Noah Kahn. I Had Some Help by Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. I'm Gonna Love You by Cody Johnson and Carrie Underwood. We Don't Fight Anymore by Carly Pierce and Chris Stapleton. And You Look Like You Love Me by Ella Langley and Riley Green. Tell you this, I called that Ella and Riley song as soon as I heard it. I was like, there you go. That's going to be your musical event of the year next year. I don't know who's going to get it, but I remember the first time hearing that song and thought, yep, that's going to be a big song. And I'm a huge Riley fan. Obviously, that's my buddy, and Ella Langley as well. Two great artists I met at the Floribama, at the Alabama-Florida state line in Perdido Key, Alabama. And, I knew that. Actually, funny story, I text about both of those to managers in Nashville saying, hey, met this person. They got it. I think they got the tools. I hear nothing back. 4 years later, I get, hey, JR, aren't you friends with this Riley guy? They just signed me to Big Machine record label. I was like, yeah, I sent you a text 4 years ago saying, hey, somebody ought to sign this guy. I know my buddy's his manager. They need some help the next level, and crickets. But don't listen to JR because he don't know nothing. Well, then fast forward here. About 2020, 2021, right during the pandemic, I meet Ella Langley and Joy Beth Taylor playing a duo gig at the Floribama right when pandemic was still in works and Florida was open. Same thing. Met them, ran sound for them actually because I was running sound to Floribama for a little while when we weren't on the road, and said to Nashville, I said, met these two ladies that play today. They're young. They're both from Alabama, which I love. So is Riley. Obviously, I'm a Bama guy, hometown. I said Ella Langley and Joy Beth Taylor. They're both very good entertainers, singers. They were both right. I said they're young. Keep an eye out. I get back the proverbial crickets from most. One, I actually got girls are hard to sell tickets on. Well, who's selling tickets now? She's not hurting selling tickets now, but that's typical old guard mentality on certain stuff. It's weird. We'll get into all that as the years go. I'm not going to bash anybody because that's just the way of the business, but I will expose the business a little bit and verify some of the claims from outside people, and also straighten out some that are BS because obviously things get overblown too. So it's not all crooked. But it's definitely not all brotherly love in the business, like any business. But yeah, so right there, I don't know if it'll win. I think it will. Ella Langley, phenomenal talent. Riley Green, brother, definitely gonna have those two on here at some point. But I hope they do it. I know Ella's had a rocking year this year, so no problem selling tickets right now. All right, next category: visual media of the year. Which I'm a big fan of this. I haven't watched probably many of these music videos because I just haven't, but I love going on YouTube and watching videos. So shout out any artist that's thinking about, should I do a video? Should I not do a video? Should I make a live video? Make every kind of video you can make always and post them. People love it. I love watching different versions of stuff, cut it live and have the good audio on it, just all that. So, but this is visual media. This list of videos below meets the criteria for eligibility, period, and have been submitted in this category. All right, we're going 4x4 by You by Lainey Wilson, who, fun fact, was the opening act on the tour that barely happened in 2020. Lainey Wilson opening the show, acoustic. Then the legend, Tracy Lawrence, whose hat I'm wearing today on purpose, TL, represent. And Justin headlining on the tour. That was our tour. Let me see. I've got there it is. Found it. Sorry, it took me a minute. Late Nights and Long Necks. Justin Moore and Tracy Lawrence with special guest Lainey Wilson. So known Lainey for a while. Fun fact also, during that tour, she didn't have much of a guitar on the road that was really up to what she needed for playing out on the road by herself like that. So we were in, I think Fort Wayne, Indiana, or somewhere rando like that. And, or maybe it was in Nebraska. Anyway, me and Justin went to the Guitar Center, and Justin bought her a Martin guitar and gave it to her that day so she'd have something to play on the road. True story. I got pictures. So big fan of Lainey. Knew from the first time I met her. All the talent in the world. Hard worker, go-getter. Country is cornbread. Knew it was going to work then. I said, and when I heard that the song, I knew it'd be a shame if they didn't give her a shot, which I've said that about several artists over the years, and we'll get into that too. But here, anyway, back to this. I'm all over the place, I know. That's why other people hate doing podcasts with me, and it's probably going to be best I just do one on my own. Visual Media of the Year. Lainey Wilson, 4x4 by You. Dirt Cheap by Cody Johnson, Mr. Kojo. I'm Gonna Love You by Kojo, again, and Carrie Underwood. Kojo all over the thing so far. Think I'm in Love with You, Chris Stapleton. You Look Like You Love Me, Ella Langley and Riley Green. There it is. That song's huge. Going to be huge on two ballads already. Chris Stapleton, too. Known him since from the day. Got some great stories about Stapleton. He's been flying the flag for a long time now with all the – you can say what you want about country music, anybody, but you play them Chris Stapleton, no matter what they listen to, they get it. They appreciate it. There's no denying that. Let me see. Back to categories. Let's see. Next category we're going to is Song of the Year. Factors to be considered are not limited to success at radio, consumption, success in digital media, and impact of the song on consumers and the country music industry with emphasis on the creative integrity of a song. Wow. I'm not going to give all that, but serious business here at the ACMs, y'all. 4x4 by You, Lainey Wilson. The Architect, Casey Musgraves. Dirt Cheap, Cody Johnson. I Had Some Help, Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. You Look Like You Love Me, Ella Langley and Riley Green. Boy, a lot of the same names. Lainey songs getting nominated. Spacey Casey, making her getting in here. Kojo tearing it up as usual. Posty and Morgan together on their big song. Two powerhouses there. And then Ella and Riley again, man. Ella and Riley could have a sweep on all this. What if they win all the categories? As we say down here in Alabama, or some of us do, roll tide on that. So anyway, I know that's ridiculous. Let's see. Next we have Single of the Year. A Bar Song, Tipsy by Shabuzi. Dirt Cheap by Cody Johnson. I Had Some Help by Post Malone and Morgan Wallen. White Horse by Chris Stapleton. Surprise, surprise, You Look Like You Love Me by Ella Langley and Riley Duckman Green. A lot of good ones on there too. Shabuzi making his debut into the categories here. Same on everything else. Domination by these handful of artists this year. Song of the Year, Single of the Year. Album of the Year next. Am I Okay? I'll Be Fine by Megan Maroney. Beautifully Broken by Jelly Roll. Cold Beer and Country Music by Zach Top. Boy, that's a good sounding. That's a good name for a record, ain't it? F1 Trillion by Post Malone. Whirlwind by Lainey Wilson. So Megan Maroney getting in the categories here for Album of the Year. I've never met Megan Maroney. I'm aware of who she is, obviously. Haven't met her yet, and not really familiar with her music. Would love to. I'm sure we will. I'm sure we'll do a show together. I'll run into her at some point. She's been killing it. I see that name a lot. Jelly Roll. Everybody loved Jelly Roll last year, didn't they? And I only met Jelly the once. He couldn't have been nicer. Cool as ice water. Got no problems with Jelly. Did not. I wouldn't say he crushed his song that night at the thing, but that's a wordy song, and that was a pressure cooker there too. But in a great event, obviously, the event I'm talking about is the George Jones Still Playing Possum special that they recorded that we were all at about 2 years ago now. Recorded in Huntsville, Alabama. It could have been last year. I don't know. That's how time works. But it actually won an Emmy for just a few weeks ago. Had a big party for it and all that stuff. So congrats to everybody who was involved in that. But that was where I met Jelly Roll. They had a bunch of us in the back, all in one dressing room together. It was like two guys dressing rooms and two female dressing rooms. So we were all in there together. It was Justin and Joe Nichols and Charlie Starr from Blackberry Smoke and who else was Los Lobos. There was all kinds of people in this dressing room, but Jelly was in there, and he was working on the song because he had to do a George Jones song. It was a lot of words and stuff. Probably not one he covered every night either, so he was just getting it in. But anyway, he come up, talked to Justin and I for a while. It was cool as heck. Talked to him and his guitar player. Talked to him a little bit later. Couldn't have been nicer. Haven't seen him since, but happy for all of his success. Keep it real, Jelly. Cold Beer and Country Music by Zach Top. Met Zach Top not too long ago at an event. I think it was the Dean Dillon event. And, boy, he's good. Yeah, everybody's got high hopes for him, with the resurgence of neoclassical country music back into the format, Hat Act again, so he and Riley and some of those. And you got someone like Justin and, Jamie and Hauser, some of them have been holding it for a long time, just kind of doing the thing, not really getting too crazy with it. So love to see that. That's Zach Top and Jake Worthington. I said that the first time I met Jake Worthington. I said, yeah, these guys are great. This is like throwback 90s guys like Mark Chestnut and, Clint Black. And, obviously there's all the comparisons to Whitley and this and that. And we'll get on some of those. But No, I'm rambling, but anyway. And then Posty and Laney. So that'll be a tight category again. Let's see. Next category we have here is new duo or group of the year. Fun category here. Only have 3 nominees. Restless Road, The Red Clay Strays, and Tree Oak Revival. Not familiar with the bands that much. I've heard of them all, but the Red Clay Strays obviously are from Alabama, so I'm aware of who they are. They're from Mobile. Ran sound for them at Floribama as well. Know some of those guys. Not well, but know them and know lots of mutual friends and all that stuff. I've been watching them play for a long time. Fantastic. Couldn't be prouder of them. Awesome. Rock and roll. I love it. I know they've got a big show in Red Rocks this year. They got a bunch of big shows. Obviously, they're killing it right now. And our buddy Justin Jinsong's going to go out there, and he's got a tour, actually, the tour to Red Rocks that he's working on to get out there and open for those guys. So I'm happy for him as well. And, yeah, big fan of the Strays. No knock on the other bands. Hope to meet them and do some shows with them as well. But that's your 3 for new group of the year, group or duo of the year. New female artist of the year: Casey Ashton, Ashley Cook, Dasha, Ella Langley, Jessie Murph. Interesting names. Obviously stands out to me, and I don't know, these other maybe too, but the bottom 2, Ella Langley and Jessie Murph, they're both from Alabama. Alabama just cleaning it up this year. Or I hope we win. Hope we're not just nominees, but as far as nominees go, lots. I don't know if we're Casey or Ashley or Dasha are from. Could be a name of a band there. New male artist of the year: Gavin Adcock, Shabuzi, Zach Top, Tucker Wetmore, Bailey Zimmerman. Not really. I've only met Zach and Bailey out of this bunch so far, I think. Memory serves me correct. So best of luck to all them. But those are your 5 new male artists of the year. Group of the year: Flatland Cavalry, Little Big Town, Old Dominion, Rascal Flatts, the Red Clay Strays. Could they win group of the year and new group duo of the year? Could the Strays do that? That'd be cool. I'm just pulling for hometown, but Flats, obviously a huge group making a comeback, or not comeback, but just out doing some shows again. I know Will Houchins, our old piano player, is out on the road playing piano with them now. He went and did that this year, which we're glad to have Garrett Anderson in the new Double Barrel Ace band over at Justin Moore Camp. Garrett Anderson, Alabama guy, loading them up, ain't we? Roll Tide on that. I know that's not going to be a catchphrase either, but just for today's sake, it works. I'm getting fired up too, y'all. I'm drinking coffee, and I normally don't drink coffee, but I am today, and I put a big old dab of that Estaboga B Company honey in there, so it's kind of sweet. Got me a mug with Lake Martin on it. That's where I grew up. Shout out to my Uncle Johnny, who I got this at my cousin Ruthie's wedding a couple years ago at the lake. All right, let me get back to this. So there's your groups of the year: Flatland Cavalry, Little Big Town, Old Dominion, Rascal Flatts, Red Clay Strays. I'm going to vote for these off air. I'm not going to click any of the votes now. So I'm not telling you who I'm voting for either. Not going to do it. Duo of the year: Brooks and Dunn, Brothers Osborne, Dan and Shay, Muscadine Bloodline, The War and Treaty. All great acts. Legends in Brooks and Dunn, obviously. They're the new age legends, which is we'll have a whole episode on that, how most of the legends are gone and there's a whole new era now, because you really got Willie left, and Chris. There's not many, But Brooks and Dunn, banger of songs. Obviously, they were put together, didn't grow up together. If you'll go back and listen to the Tracy Lawrence, Honky Tonkin' with Tracy Lawrence episode on YouTube, when he has John Conley on there, John Conley's one of his first big hits was written by Kix Brooks in like 1979 when Kix was just in town to be a songwriter or something like that. It's good. Tracy Lawrence's podcast and Honky Tonk with Tracy Lawrence are both great, so check those out. Brothers Osborne, known them guys since they came to town. I can remember first meeting them, and John Osborne actually played guitar. Was one of Justin's first guitar players. All the success they've had. Dan and Shay, Good guys. Hung out with them a few times. Had Shay on, obviously, a few times. The Arkansas connection. War and Treaty. Not sure if I've met them or not. But Muscadine Bloodline. Another band from Mobile, Alabama, representing. I mean, he can't make this up. I'm just saying. Gary and Chuck, Muscadine Bloodline. What a great band. Independent band still getting a nod as for duo of the year at the ACM Awards, the highest level country music award there is. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm just going to say that right now. I love it. I text those guys fairly regularly. Obviously we didn't grow up together. I don't know. I'm a little older than them, but I've been such a big fan of what they've done their whole careers now for, the last 9 or 10 years, from playing in bars in these college towns in Alabama and around the South to what they've been on the road doing in their albums and their records and their content and their stuff. I mean, so good. Another one to go back. Muscadine Bloodline had a podcast for a minute. Go back and listen to those episodes. Absolute gold. I know they just have life going on, and it's hard to do one when you live this life, so I get it, but that was absolute gold too. So I'm pulling for those guys. Sorry, everybody else. Let's see what we got next. Group of the year, duo of the year. Female Artist of the Year. Here are your nominees. Kelsey Ballerini, Ella Langley, Megan Maroney, Casey Musgraves, Lainey Wilson. Female Artist of the Year. All heavy hitters. Young group. Is that wild when Casey Musgrave is the elder statesman of the nominees for that? No knock. None of this is not. This is all just, it's not even opinions. It's just comments. But I think Casey's she's definitely been in the business longer than the rest, I would think, as far as on a level. But wow, interesting. Might be the first time I hadn't seen Miranda Lambert on this list in a long time, to be honest with you, and or Carrie Underwood for that matter, which I'm a huge Miranda Lambert fan. She has made so many good country records, and her takes on different stuff. I mean, she's got great records. She puts out solid gold country. Real country artist. I love her. I like a lot of these. Male Artist of the Year. Luke Combs, Jelly Roll, Cody Johnson, Chris Stapleton, and Morgan Wallen. I mean, I don't know. They're all big artists that had a great year. Great last couple years. Stapleton's been holding it down for a while now. He's been in this category for a while. Deservingly. Morgan Wallen's obviously selling out stadiums and stuff. Luke Combs too. Jelly Rolls on everything. Kojo's huge. Yellowstone, Cowboy, Hat Act. That's crazy. He's really the only real. Well, Stapleton wears a cool '70s hat. At least we got a Hat Act on there, I guess. And not saying you got to, but I'm a fan of all those. So I don't know. I mean, I've obviously Morgan's cool. Hung out with him. It's been a long time. This was obviously prior to his rocket ship to fame. But I always liked Morgan. Big fan of his as a person and everything else. Not, obviously whatever crazy stuff he's done and antics and things. Not that. But as far as when we've interacted with each other, I always thought good dude, cool, normal, nice guy, good at what he was doing when we were doing these songwriter things and stuff, rounds. So I've always been pulling for him. Stapleton, legend. Became a legend by working and putting in the work, and the talent was so undeniable. I can't believe it took as long as it did, but that's just how the world works. Vince Gill put out, 20-something singles before he ever had a hit? It's Vince Gill. Kojo, what can you say? Kojo, hard-working little fireball Texan, good stuff, traditional. Jelly, like we were talking earlier, I got nothing bad to say about Jelly. Had huge records, obviously connects with a lot of people, does a lot of press. And Combs, great big songs. Combs been up there for several years now. He's been rocking. He had his rocket ship a couple years ago. So that's your Male Artist of the Year. We got one category left. And this is for Entertainer of the Year, the big daddy of them all. We got Kelsey Ballerini, Luke Combs, Jelly Roll, Kojo, Chris Stapleton, Morgan Wallen, and Lainey Wilson. So you basically got the men's category with Lainey and Kelsey. Kelsey's on a TV show. She's rocking, I'm sure. Lainey had a huge year last year and's on everything. Yellowstone, commercials, all that. And then the guys already went down that road. Everybody had big years. I don't know. It's going to be a competitive chase to the end there. So hopefully may the best person win in each of their categories. And congrats to all their teams and people involved in their camps when they do. I hope I hope everybody has fun. Stay safe. Don't get in no trouble. Don't do nothing stupid. And get back home safe to your families. That's all I can say. So there you go. ACM 2025 nominees, final ballot. Just looking on here, see what's been going on. And I love this guy on Instagram. If y'all have ever looked him up, the Cody Tucker. He just has these random facts. He'll figure these things out and do a backstory on these little fun facts. I love it. The Cody Tucker. Check him out on Instagram. But I had seen something that's going around the last couple of days, the Hulk Hogan deal. Hulk Hogan's ex-wife Linda from their show back in the day, I mean, his longtime wife came on. It's this horrible crying scene, and then everybody's got these jokes now, and the daughter and Hogan and his new wife eating popcorn. And everybody's just eating it up, having something to talk about. I think it's sad. I feel bad for all these people. But, that's the price of fame. I'm not saying that none of this is deserved on any of them, but, man, that's just kind of what happens, unfortunately, in a lot of celebrity-type situations, man. And, you think about the Hulk Hogan show. That was one of the first reality TV shows that was huge like that. I mean, there were several. We could do the chronological order, but it was one of the early ones. And, man, that's so invasive and it'd just be tough. And then and now fast forward after so many years later, and it's just in shambles. I feel sorry for him. I don't really know the whole backstory on why she did that, and but it looked awful. It just was sad. And then everybody's responses and this and that. I hate when people. I tell this all the time. Don't air out stuff on social media, on Facebook. Don't put your personal business on Facebook. Kayfabe. Everybody don't need to know all your business. Fun stuff. Content, things like this, I get. Takes on stuff. But not personal business. Nobody needs to be calling out a family member, a spouse, a sibling, and unless that's just last resort, I guess. But talking about work insider stuff, just none of that needs to be on social media. That's not the place to air out things like that. But she did, and here we go, this storm, and I don't know how it's going to work. Maybe they'll get some money out of it. I don't know if she's looking for money. I don't know what the deal is, really. I wish I could – I'm sure there was a way I could call somebody to get a better scoop on this. If I could think of somebody, maybe I will. Maybe I'll call – we're going to call somebody in a little while. We're going to get on the Zoom machine with someone soon today. Before this is over, I'm just going to let this thing run and record as much as I can. And we'll get somebody to talk about that, amongst other things. And maybe my coffee will kick in and I'll have some more stuff to talk about myself. I'm hoping the AI machine scrambles all this dead air up and makes it really nice. What's Whiskey Riff posting here? Country fans swoon as Riley Green helps Ella Langley down the stairs during You Look Like You Love Me. Well, of course he did. That's what good old boys do. Y'all should know. See what happens. Listen to old JR. This is the kind of people you get. You got to. Duckman knows what he's doing. She got them boots on, that crazy dress. How's she going to get down them stairs? Duckman, look at him. Get it. Smooth, baby. I love her look, too. She looks cool in her outfits and stuff. It's different. I love it. Duckman's always going to have that just tapered, just Marlboro man in a, Instagram model deal. He's something else, man. He looks sharp, and a mustache. I love it. Bravo, brother. What's this next one? This must be the Whiskey Riff Hour on my Instagram feed. Ella Langley fans are losing it over her bikini thirst trap from Banff. That's probably some new lingo I should know, but I don't know what that means. Had no idea Ella was caked up. I'm not sure what that means exactly. I'm sure I'll get laughed at for not. But, yeah, she's a cutie patootie, no doubt. South Montgomery County girl. And, yeah, there you go. Got that content happening. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Guy spearfishing, Kojo Leather Deluxe Tour. Kojo's some dates here. Kojo with the Leather Deluxe Tour featuring Carly Pearce and Randall King. There's another one to be looking out for. Randall King, boy, he's good. Met him a few times last year. He's good. Trying to see if there was something else I wanted that was on here earlier, and I thought I need to see what everybody else thinks about that. And that's the idea, y'all. Comment on this stuff. Send me what you think. Send me some ideas, stuff you want me to talk about. We'll have a whole new landing page for it. JR the Handler Show on Instagram and Twitter. You can go to jrthehandler.com. As always, there'll be links to everything on there too. We're going to hopefully I can talk to Cody about that. We can reorganize everything, get it streamlined, and it'll be on YouTube and all that fun stuff if this all works. So fingers crossed it does. Hope y'all enjoy this. If not, tell me to stop. I'll go back to doing something else. I've got a lot on my plate, but some of this stuff, it just felt like it needs to get out there, while we can and while we're able, kind of deal, And like I said, I'm not going to stop anything else I'm doing. I'm just adding to it. I saw something on here today. I have this page I like to pull up. This day in country music. And something I saw that was cool today, March 31st. I'm recording this. I don't know if it'll come out today or tomorrow or what. But March 31st, 1971, the final Johnny Cash television music variety show hosted by Johnny Cash was aired. It was 58 episodes, ran from June 7th, 1969 to March 31st, 1971 on ABC. It was taped at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee. Show featured many folk country musicians such as Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan, Linda Ronstadt, Chris Christopherson, Mickey Newberry, Neil Young, Gordon Lightfoot, Merle Haggard, James Taylor, and Tammy Wynette. Let me tell you, I love this show. I got this DVD here that I used to carry on the bus. I actually bought Justin a copy for his birthday. It's the best of the Johnny Cash show. I've had this for years. Man, there's absolute gold in here, and I thought it lasted longer than that, so it really only has 58 episodes total. But man, there is some absolute gems in here, and behind and backstories and stuff. Stevie Wonder, George Jones, Waylon. Waylon and Johnny talk about living. They shared an apartment together and stuff, and they tell stories of that. But just a great show. I thought that was neat. Today was the final episode. Why they would have shut that down, I don't know. But go check that out on YouTube, the Johnny Cash Show, or order you one of these DVDs so you'll always have something to watch. Fun fact on that, too. Justin's longtime manager, Pete Hartung, his father-in-law was the producer on that show. He was the producer of the Ed Sullivan Show and also produced some award shows there and was actually the producer on the Johnny Cash TV show, I believe. I'll get Pete on here sometime to verify that, but I think so. And that's how Pete got to Nashville, and y'all have heard that story before. If not, y'all can find it. Or I'll get him on here to tell it again. Also, this day in country music, born in 1933 on this day in Macy Springs, Virginia, Anita Carter, one of the Carter sisters with Helen and June. She had 2 top 10 hits in 51. And reached the top 10 again in 68 with I Got You with Waylon. Let's see. J.D. Loudermilk born on this day. Wrote Abilene, prettiest town that I've ever seen, by George Hamilton IV. Met George Hamilton IV one time at the Ryman going to watch Merle Haggard. I noticed sitting in front of me, I'm like, man, that looks like... who was it? Was it Jeannie Shepherd or one of them? I think it was Jeannie Shepherd. And then I realized that's George Hamilton IV. And then I realized there was John Prine there. There was a star-studded cast for the 2-night Merle Haggard shows at the Ryman in about 2015. I got the poster somewhere. My good buddy Mike Diamond got me one signed by Merle Haggard, and I have it framed in one of our guest bedrooms in the house, actually. But let's see. Eddie Arnold's first 45 RPM disc, Texarkana Baby, issued by RCA on this day in 1949. Born today in 1954, American guitarist and singer Greg Martin from country rock and southern rock band The Kentucky Headhunters. Their 1989 album Pickin' on Nashville won a Grammy for Best Country Performance in 1991. 1977, Glenn Campbell was number one on the U.S. country charts with the song Southern Nights, who you've probably heard before on an Alan Toussaint record because it was written by Alan Toussaint. The lyrics of Southern Nights were inspired by childhood memories Toussaint had of visiting relatives in the Louisiana backwoods, which often entailed storytelling under star-filled nighttime skies. Southern Nights, great record. And Alan Toussaint's album, on his original version of it's kind of trippy. It's cool. It's different than the Campbell one, but both great. 1998, Chesney was top of the charts this week with How Forever Feels. Chesney told Billboard magazine that he almost didn't get to release the song because Tim McGraw had also cut it. But I guess Chesney put it out and it worked. In 2007, police issued an arrest warrant for country singer Billy Joe Shaver after he shot and wounded a man outside Lorena, Texas bar. Shaver later turns himself in. He said, I had to shoot that man before that man shot me. You know, he took too long to aim. That's in one of his songs, Wacko from Waco. He tells the story of the song. And I think that's how I think he actually got in some trouble for putting the song out during the time about he actually shot him. Let's see. Wow. In 2020, due to COVID, the Country Music Association announced that the 2020 CMA Fest, scheduled for June 4th through 7th, was officially canceled. Wow. That was this year, this day 5 years ago. When is CMA Fest? Oh, June, same thing. So we'll be in Nashville, playing the Opry June 4th. So I'll be in Nashville that week. I guess CMA Fest is 2nd through the 8th or something that week. Same. Anyway, well, that's about all I've got right now. I'm hoping to have somebody jump on the Zoom machine here with me here at some point. We could chop it up about some other topics and other things I'm not thinking of right now. It was a lot. I'll tell you this, doing a show by yourself is different because of having to not interact and talk with someone. There's no back and forth banter. So first time for me. Hope it doesn't suck. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Stick with us. Come back. Let me know. Shoot us some messages if you want us to keep doing the show or what you like to talk about. That kind of stuff. And hopefully we'll see you down the old dusty country music road sooner and later. We'll talk about some wrestling on here too. A little bit of sports. Oh, yeah, congrats to all the teams that made the Final Four. My Alabama Crimson Tide. We just ran up a big, good Duke team. They were long and good in every position, and they beat us pretty good. They got up that 10-12 point lead early in the game. We just couldn't ever get over it. We'd fight back, but then they ended up running it up by 20 there at the end. Auburn made it to the Final Four. Florida is going to make it to the Final Four, I believe. Duke and Houston, all the number one seeds, going to make it. So us in Tennessee was hanging there as long as we could. So we're going home, boys. But anyway, we'll talk soon. Thank y'all for tuning in. JR the Handler Show. Like Morgan said, get me back to God's country. I'm getting out of here. And I'll see y'all soon. Thanks, y'all.